Experiments and investigations are very important in science. I mean, that's actually how we've come up with everything we know about science. But I'm sure you've run into a couple of times taking an assessment where they are asking long, drawn out questions about experiments, investigations, giving you data and passages and all sorts of things. Well, we're going to walk through a couple of tips to help you attack those passages with success. Here's a very long question with a huge passage and some data that goes along with it. Before you just jump in and read and bog yourself down with all of that, the first thing you want to do is examine the data. See if you can figure out on your own what the experimenters are investigating. Looking here, I can see that they are changing the type of light. I don't know what for, but that's what they're doing, right? They also have a control. So there's something that does not receive light. We also see how long they let this experiment run. They let it run for 60 minutes. Then we see they are taking note of color, or how the color is changing. I don't know what it is that's actually changing color, but we can see they're changing the type of light. They let it run for an hour, and they're taking note of how the color of something is changing. Then I want to go to the answer choices and see if I can look at the answer choices and see if I can figure out what's going on here. So let's look. In all of these answer choices, it's about the rate of photosynthesis in a certain type of light. Next, I want to see if there are any indicators. To indicate means to show something, right? So I'm looking to see, is there anything that is going to help these experimenters determine the rate of photosynthesis? It's not clear in the data, nor is it clear in the answer choices. So we have to go to the passage. Looking here, right in the first sentence, CPIP can be used for studying the rate of photosynthesis. That's right off the bat. I would go through the passage and underline or circle anything that lets me know how they are determining the rate of photosynthesis. It also says when CPIP is excited, it loses its green color. That right there tells me what's going on in this experiment. When this coenzyme, and it doesn't matter if you know what a coenzyme is or not, when this coenzyme loses its color, photosynthesis is occurring. So let's go ahead and make sense of the results before we start doing any process of elimination or anything of that nature. So looking at direct sunlight, we see that it went from dark green to completely clear and colorless. In indirect sunlight, it went from dark green to nearly colorless. Under infrared, it went from dark green and just slightly lighter. And under the control, which means there was no light, it stayed dark green. I would go ahead and make my own conclusion about this. And for me, I can see that under direct sunlight, if it lost all of its color, well, I can go ahead and conclude that the rate of photosynthesis was the highest under direct sunlight. Now, let's just simply look at our answer choices and see what aligns with what we just concluded on our own. Let me see what it is. So A says the rate of photosynthesis under indirect sunlight is slower than infrared. That isn't true. Indirect sunlight was nearly colorless, and infrared never even reached a colorless range. B, the rate of photosynthesis is greatest for direct sunlight and least for infrared. That actually aligns with what we already concluded, but let's continue to read. C, the rate of photosynthesis cannot be determined because the infrared lamp degraded the CPIP. There's no evidence of that in the data or the passage. D, the rate of photosynthesis cannot be determined because exposure to direct sunlight degraded the DPIP. That is not evident in the passage, and the data actually contradicts this. So we're gonna go with B. The rate of photosynthesis is greatest for direct sunlight because we see under direct sunlight, it lost all of its color. Or under infrared, it only got slightly lighter, which indicates a lower rate of photosynthesis. I hope this helped, and you'll apply this whenever you're taking an assessment, whenever you're doing any type of classwork, homework, or just in general to better understand analyzing and interpreting data. Good luck.